My name is Aziz. I'm a visual artist. In normal circumstances, I'm based in Kabul, but at the moment I work out of Berlin.
Aziz, thank you very much for being here in Frankfurt at the Lorberg. Let's begin with the beginning. How did you come to art?
I think I developed a sense of, wanted to make images from a very early age. Probably when I was 14, 15. I started doing calligraphy and first miniature painting. And the environment that I grew up, calligraphy became kind of escaping place where I totally forgot my surroundings and the kind of meditation that it has with it. So that kept me at home and just practicing and practicing. And since then I developed the sense of curiosity of looking at different images and different ways of making images. But essentially I started with calligraphy and miniature painting.
You are born in Warda, which is close to Kabul, not so far from Kabul. And that was in 1992. I'm curious to know what the situation was as a child or as a teenager growing up in that area. I mean, Kabul after 2001 is a different environment, but it's still a post-war and in-war city where the city changes rapidly and the environment changes rapidly. And I still remember the early nights of 2001 when B-52 was hovering above Kabul. And we as children of 9, 10, we used to sit on the rooftop at night to see the bombing. And I still remember that image of when the bomb hits the ground and it blitz for a few seconds. So imagine a city which is totally flattened by different types of warfare and it's totally dark. And then a bomb hits for a few seconds. It was just a happy moment for us. And if you later translate that in your work, in your video, what do you have in mind to restage, let's say, that situation?
It plays a huge role in my memory as well, because now most of the things that I've seen probably, or still I remember, make sense now. Years later, 20 years later, I know what it means to see a B-52 bombing a city. But at that time, it was just a playful thing. Or the violence became so normalized that it started affecting our games. And then most of the games that kids play or children play across Kabul is all warfare-related game. And for instance, in one of the works that I have is rehearsal where kids are mimicking gun sound. And when we were doing field recordings, the kids could make it different, like AK-47 gun or Mi-5 gun. I mean, the AK-47 comes from the Russians, and then Mi-5 or M14 comes from the Americans. So this constant sound that they have heard, and it stayed in their memory, and now they can mimic it. So it does affect one's mentality and one's thinking and one's environment.
What is very obvious when one watches your videos is the sensibility of sound, or what sound is creating, like a soundscape. Is that the soundscape that you find everywhere in Afghanistan?
I think, I mean, the war on terror, what war on terror brought was introduced this very new type of soundscape in the cities where there's constant sound of drone flying above. But I mean, in warfare, you relate to your landscape in relation to the sound. For instance, a rocket is launching from X location and it's heading to Z, you know it because you hear the direction of the sound. and it does play a huge role when you're working with landscape. And for instance, I mean, in Takbir, there's three soundscape which meets each other. One is the songs of suicide bomber. The other one is the soundscape of Shias commemorating someone's death 1400 years ago. And then the C-17 of Americans flying constantly in and out. So these are, I mean, Kabul is a soundscape. And you can read all these military intervention through the soundscape that they left, that they generated.
Allahu Akbar!
And then what happens is with the soundscape of these drones that in Afghanistan, because it's mainly mountain, so these sounds when they come down they echo in the valleys. Experiencing those kind of sound is pretty awful, but also at the same time you know that the drones are coming. And then you would see people we couldn't see 2-3 people together, and in the fear of getting bombed, getting a drone strike. And then on the other side, like the irony of this thing is that someone sitting in Nevada flying drone over Afghanistan or Iraq and has no relationship with the land, has no relationship to the ground, and with a fingertip he can bomb and destroy the whole village. And for instance, I mean, psychologically it affected so much of the Afghans who are living in the geography, where now, for instance, with me, anywhere when there's a monotone constant sound, my ear goes automatically there.
The work that is coming up in Carnegie 2022, like Bring the War of Terror Home. So the work will be that you return 20 tons of waste to the United States.
Yeah, that's essentially the idea, to ship back. I wish we could do more, but let's see if we can do it. But yeah, I mean, dealing with these, this landscape of leftover and growing up with these objects. I remember I grew up with these Soviet tanks and Soviet leftovers. So for me, and also the impact that it has on the environment, but also the political gesture of this thing, that they were looking for the impact of America after 9/11. And the brutality of this warfare needed that kind of a gesture to ship it back and to make a living community-based archive where we keep who was involved in what scale.
Yeah.
And that hopefully for another generation is useful, and that's what we're doing.
Aziz, thank you very much for being here in Frankfurt.
Thank you so much. Thank you for hosting me. It's lovely. I mean, it's also very weird to talk about war on terror sitting in Frankfurt here. It's a weird feeling. But thank you for hosting me.